Hello and welcome to the Survivor League breakdown for Week 12. I'm your host, Josh Shepardson. And if you're still alive, pat yourself on the back for lasting this long in your Survivor League pools. Let's try to get you home to the cash here at the end of the tunnel. And with that, let's jump right into the picks. We got 3 Thursday games because it is Thanksgiving, and a Thanksgiving tradition, unlike any other, is football games being played. And first game of the day is going to be the Lions hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. This game is a pick'em, and it is one of a handful of games that I have marked down as stay away. This is not a game that I have much confidence in picking. Odds makers set it at a pick'em, so there is no spread. The Lions defense has been playing better lately. The Eagles seem to be trending in the wrong direction, but the Eagles do still have talent on both sides of the football. If I'm picking a team here, I'm going to take the host Lions, and based almost entirely on the fact that they are at home. This is not, like I said, this is not a game I have strong convictions on, but the defense is playing better, and because they are trending in the right direction, they got a couple wins in a row, beating the Raiders at home and beating the Packers at Lambeau. I'll go ahead and take the team headed in the right direction and go with the Lions, but I do that without a great deal of confidence. Second game on the docket is the Panthers at the Cowboys, and this is also a pick'em, and this is a head scratcher for me. I'm not sure what the Panthers have to do at this point to get respect. They are in my top plays, and they are an easy pick for me against the Cowboys. Tony Romo came back and was not exactly sharp in his first game against the Dolphins. Panthers are a significantly better pass defense. They have a strong running game with Jonathan Stewart on the other side of the ball. Cam Newton's been basically unstoppable this year, so they do have the defensive front seven capable of keeping Darren McFadden in check, forcing Tony Romo to air it out. They have Josh Norman to take away Des Bryant. So I'm not really sure where the odds makers are getting this line from. Maybe it's just a case of the line being driven down to a pick'em by some crazy Cowboy fans that are putting money on their quarterback saving their season. But this one for me is pretty easy. I'm going to take the undefeated Panthers, and I'm going to take them winning this contest, and they are one of my 4 top plays of the week. The third game on Thursday on Thanksgiving is another one of my top plays of the week, and that's the Green Bay Packers hosting the Chicago Bears. Packers are 9-point favorites at home. They snapped their 3-game tailspin by beating up on the division rival Minnesota Vikings. Vikings were hosting the Packers and looking to assert their claim to the top of the division. Instead, the Packers went in there and handed them a beatdown. Rodgers looked pretty good. Eddie Lacy looked the best that he's looked all year. The offense featured the most balance we've seen this year. If they can feature some balance, they're going to give the Bears some trouble. Alshon Jeffrey's still not 100%. Didn't play last week. And I can't trust the Bears on the road. This is one of my top plays of the week as well. As I said, 4 of them. Packers over the Bears, laying 9 points. Really like them to win this week. Moving on to the Sunday contest, we got the Saints traveling to the Houston Texans. This is a game that I have in my second tier, and it's a pretty robust second tier of picks. I'll take the Texans at home. They're playing well. Their defense is really cooking. They've got 3 straight games of holding opponents to under 20 points. They got smacked around by the Dolphins in the week before that. Nice string of successful games, but they look like a different team now. They get Brian Hoyer back this week. The New Orleans Saints defense hasn't been able to stop anybody this year. They can Rob Ryan. I still don't think that's going to be enough to turn their defense around this quickly. I'll take Brian Hoyer and the Texans' hot defense this week, laying 3 against the Saints. Next up is the Minnesota Vikings traveling to the Atlanta Falcons. Vikings are small 2-point underdogs, but the Falcons cannot seem to right the ship right now. They lost to the 49ers before the bye week. They lost, led by Blaine Gabbert. They lost to the Colts coming out of their bye week, led by Matt Hasselbeck. This is a trend of not good quarterbacks beating the Atlanta Falcons. They face a significantly better quarterback this week in Teddy Bridgewater, and they face a running back that is arguably the most talented in the league in Adrian Peterson. I like the Vikings, even though they are small underdogs. The Falcons just can't seem to get it together right now. The Vikings have a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball between Diggs, Bridgewater, and Adrian Peterson. They have some talent on the defensive side of the ball, though last week I think they showed that that defense might be slightly overrated. Still think that they're good enough to beat the Falcons, especially if Devontae Freeman's not healthy enough to go. He did have a concussion. He's going to have to get through that NFL concussion protocol. Obviously, if he's out, that strengthens my stance on the Vikings winning. Even if he's a go, I do like the Vikings here. Next up is the St. Louis Rams at the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals are 8.5-point home favorites. This is the third of my 4 top plays of the week. Take the Bengals. They lost a tough one against the Cardinals in Arizona. They lost at home against the Texans, that hot defense. Neither loss is really bad. A loss to the Rams certainly would be. They're not losing to the Rams. The Rams are a one-man show on offense, Todd Gurley. The Bengals can stop the run, even if it is a fantastic runner like Gurley. Load the box up. Whether it's Case Keenum or Nick Foles starting a quarterback, it's not going to matter. They don't have the talent to beat this Bengals defense. And let's not forget that the offense still has some talent. I mean, they hung a big number on the Cardinals last week. And with A.J. Green, Tyler Eifert, and their pair of running backs, Jeremy Hill and Giovanni Bernard, they certainly have some talent on that offensive side of the ball too. Next up is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Indianapolis. They are 3-point underdogs against the Colts, but I do like the Bucs here. They are in that second tier of games for me, picks for me. Jameis Winston's taking care of the football now. He's spreading the football around. He's got a healthy Vincent Jackson back. He's got Mike Evans playing well. And the defense has played pretty good this year. They have allowed more points than you'd like to see. They also force turnovers and generate sacks. I don't see the Colts having an offensive answer to match and keep up with Jameis Winston. And I think the Buccaneers win here. Doug Martin playing really good football, just gashed the Philadelphia Eagles. Colts are no great run defense themselves. I think Doug Martin runs all over them. I like this Buccaneers team to win and keep their roll going. Next up is the New York Giants traveling to the Washington Redskins, where the Giants are 2.5-point favorites. They fall in that second tier of picks for me as well. I'll take the Giants and Eli Manning. Yes, Kirk Cousins is better at home. He can pick apart some soft defenses, but the defense got after Tom Brady going into their bye week. I see little reason to think that they're going to have trouble getting after Kirk Cousins this week. This is not nearly the offense that the Patriots possess, and the Giants lost a heartbreaker. I think they come out firing out of the bye week, ready to lay claim to the top of that NFC East. I think they beat up on the Redskins, and they're one of my second-tier picks. Next up is a game that is really a stay-away game for me, one of a handful. Oakland Raiders are traveling to the Tennessee Titans. Raiders are 1.5-point favorites. They laid an egg in Detroit. They were just beaten by Minnesota 2 weeks ago. The offense looked good 2 weeks ago when they got beat. Did not look good at Detroit against a bad defense. Marcus Mariota and the Titans lost a road contest on Thursday Night Football to the Jaguars, but I like Mariota just a little bit better than Derek Carr in this matchup. I think I'll take the Titans as the home team. It is a really close contest, but the lack of Alden Smith on that defense certainly concerns me with the Raiders. And I think the Titans are just a little bit better, and I will take that home field advantage. But again, this is a game that I don't make a pick with strong convictions in. Next up is Miami Dolphins traveling to the New York Jets. The first time these two teams met was in London. The Jets waxed them. The Jets are 3.5-point favorites at home this time. Jets aren't playing very good football, though. They've lost to Houston Texans. They got spanked by the Bills. They got knocked around by the New England Patriots. They're in something of a tailspin, and DeAndre Hopkins just torched Darrelle Revis. Obviously, the Dolphins don't have a receiver of that talent level, but I think this is a fairly competitive game. If I'm picking a team here, I'm taking the home Jets. But again, this is another team that I'm taking without strong convictions. They did look good in London, but that was the last game coached by before the Dan Campbell era. So a little bit different feel for this game. But I'll take the home team Jets, but again, not a pick that I make with strong convictions. Pick that I do have stronger feelings on is the Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the San Diego Chargers. Jaguars are 4-point favorites. I'll take the Jaguars beating the visiting Chargers. The Chargers have no offensive answer to how they're going to replace Keenan Allen. They scored 3 points against the Chiefs. They scored 22 points overall in the last 2 weeks without Keenan Allen. They look lost. They've had no running attack all year. Jaguars have some offensive talent that I think can score some points and keep them afloat against a bad Chargers defense. and I think they have just enough defensively to hold on here. I'll take the Jags as part of my second tier of picks, and I think that they will beat the Chargers at home this week. Next up is the Chiefs hosting the Buffalo Bills. Pinnacle Sports doesn't have a lineup, but there are a few other odds makers that have the Chiefs set as 5-point favorites right now. Pinnacle, I imagine, is waiting on an official verdict or something closer to an official verdict on this playing status of Tyrod Taylor. Rex Ryan said he should be a go this week, but until we get a little bit later in the week and we're certain of that, probably won't see a line out at every book. The Chiefs are at home, though. Their defense is playing really well. The Bills made a fight of it with the New England Patriots on Monday night, but going to Kansas City, going to be a tough assignment. If Charkandrick West is healthy, that gives the Chiefs two good running backs, as they got a surprise performance this week from another backup. And I just think that the Chiefs are the slightly better team here. They're a little bit hotter with the defense playing really well, and they're at home. I don't love Alex Smith, don't love their ability to keep him upright, and the Bills did generate a pass rush on Brady. So this is a tough game to pick. I do have the Chiefs in that second tier of picks, a little bit better than a stay-away game for me. I do think the Chiefs beat the Bills this week, but certainly don't have as strong of feelings about that as maybe some of these other second-tier games. So if you've got some other options, I would turn that way. But if you're starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel, Chiefs are very tough at home at Arrowhead. Next up, the Arizona Cardinals travel to San Francisco to face the Fighting Blaine Gabberts and the 49ers. And they make for my fourth top play of the week. The Arizona Cardinals are 10.5-point favorites, and their offense is clicking. Their defense surrendered some serious points to the Bengals, but they have talent on that side of the ball. Certainly enough talent to make Blaine Gabbert look bad. They look like a potential Super Bowl contender right now, and they're playing at a really high level. Bruce Arians has them clicking on all cylinders. Go ahead and take the Cardinals if by some stroke of luck you still have them, or you're allowed to use the team more than once for whatever reason in your Survivor League pool. Cardinals look like a really strong play to me. Next up is the Steelers at the Seahawks, and this is a stay-away game for me. But if I'm taking one side of it, I'm actually taking the visiting Steelers. It comes down to quarterback play for me, and Big Ben, in my estimation, is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. And maybe that's partly due to the fact that he's got a better line to protect him. Russell Wilson is the most sacked quarterback in the league. Steelers can get after the passer. I don't think that the Seahawks have the type of pass catchers to exploit Pittsburgh's secondary. Pittsburgh has some awesome receivers that are going to give the Legion of Boom fits. Both Antonio Brown and Martavis Bryant are a handful. D'Angelo Williams has run the football very well in replacing Le'Veon Bell. So I really like the Steelers offense. I think the defense is good enough. And even though they are 3.5-point underdogs, I do like the Steelers here. But again, this is a game that I would just assume stay away from. Don't really like ever picking anybody going into Seattle. But if I'm taking a team here, it's going to be the Steelers. Finally, from the Sunday contest, we've got New England going to Denver. New England enters as a 3-point favorite at Denver, led by Brock Osweiler, who looked pretty good in his first start against the Chicago Bears in Chicago, was basically tasked with managing the game as they ran the ball very well. New England, waiting to see if Danny Amendola will be a go later this week, had an MRI taken on his left knee. He has a knee sprain. He's considered week to week at this point. Have to check in later in the week. Obviously, if he's healthy, that helps the New England Patriots offense quite a bit, as their receiving core has been decimated, or their pass catching core, I should say, has been decimated by injuries since they lost both Julian Edelman and Deion Lewis for the remainder of the regular season. In Lewis's case, for the remainder of the season entirely, even when they reach the postseason. The Broncos defense is really good. I do expect this to be a close game. I do think New England goes in and gets this win. Tom Brady's playing at an incredibly high level, and I have more faith in Bill Belichick confusing a guy making his second NFL start at quarterback than I do this defense keeping Tom Brady from another victory. Though this is not in my top tier of games, this is the top pick in my second tier, just a little bit below that top tier, just because that Broncos defense is really motivated and playing at a very high level. And I do think they have a pair of backs that can maybe give New England a little bit of trouble. LeSean McCoy looked pretty good on Monday night against them. Ronnie Hillman is a shifty-ish back, not necessarily as good as Shady McCoy, but he does feature a little bit of that. Also have a bruiser in C.J. Anderson, so they've got a couple different looks that they can go with in that backfield. Finally, last game of the week is the Monday Night Football contest that I'm sure everybody's really excited for. I mean, you know it's bad when you've got the Monday Night Football broadcasting crew questioning the football fandom of people, and Mike Tirico basically saying, you know, if you're watching next week's Monday Night Football game, you are a true NFL fan. That's because the Ravens are traveling to Cleveland. The Ravens are without a ton of key contributors. Joe Flacco's out for the year. Justin Forsett's out for the year. Steve Smith's out for the year. They never got a contribution from first-round pick Rashad Perriman, and they never saw a snap from Dennis Pitta this year. So that offense is ravaged by injury. Cleveland is the host. They're 2.5-point favorites. Not often you get to see Cleveland as a home favorite or a favorite at all, and the game has an ugly 41 over-under total. It's going to be an ugly game to watch. But I actually have more faith in Cleveland now that they've reinserted Josh McCown as the starting quarterback. Johnny Manziel has earned himself a demotion to third-string quarterback thanks to his insistence on partying and not being able to stay out of the limelight. And now it's Josh McCown's show, and he looked pretty good earlier in the season. Really worked very well with Gary Barnidge and Travis Benjamin at wide receiver. I think they get enough offense from Josh McCown and company to beat up on an injury-depleted Ravens team that I just don't think can keep up with Matt Pick-Six Schaub under center. That's going to wrap things up for this week's Survivor League breakdown. Good luck this weekend. Check out fantasyfootballcafe.com for all your fantasy football needs. We've got articles, podcasts, and a very active forum for you to participate in. Until next week, good luck.